only ever thought of a career as a way to earn money, and actually going into marketing realised, oh, I can actually enjoy what I'm doing and earn money at the same time.
Sophie Tombs is a leader. She's emerged in male-dominated environments, in exceptionally competitive industries, and at a young age.
When I came out of uni, I went into the automotive industry, completely male-dominated spaces. And, you know, I was a manager of an automotive branch, and we would have customers come in and they'd look straight past me and they'd go, "Can I speak to the manager, please?"
She shares her secrets to career progression and the importance of having an incredible role model.
Don't rely on anyone. Like, I have a fantastic partner who's got an amazing career, but at no point am I ever going to think, oh, well, I'm just going to rely on you. I'm always going to have my own property, and that's because my mum, she's taught me.
Nazia Khatun is also a leader and a disruptor. She is someone who doesn't take off nobody.
I've trained a lot of celebrities and millionaires. It's sad to see that they haven't taken care of their health, and it's always been money, 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 fame, 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 fame.
A lady of total pride who's carving her own journey, letting nothing stand in her way.
I left a very comfortable 9-to-5 job to pursue this dream, this passion. You do sit there and you think, what matters to you the most?
You can become a leader in any space, no matter your age, no matter your gender, no matter your industry.
What advice would you give to men in order to get the best out of the females that are in their lives?
Not every opportunity is a great opportunity, yeah.
Remember to like and hit that subscribe button. Let's do this.
What about Andrew Tate? You heard of Andrew Tate?
You really bringing these questions to us?
Well, he's been very outspoken on this subject.
I've trained a handful of celebrities and millionaires in my time, and it's sad to see, and it's inspiring to see the millionaires and people working hard, but there comes to a point where they've gone over that line where they haven't taken care of their health, and it's always been money, 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 fame, 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 and they're still unhappy, and you try to get them to come out of that comfort zone to train, but it always go back to how much can I make, how many millions of pounds. And you know, there's a quote by Dalai Lama. I'm full of quotes. I love quotes.
Everyone's
and
quotes.
I'm going to paraphrase this, but he says it so beautifully and it stays in my head. And he was asked, what surprises you about mankind? And he replied, man goes to work, he searches, you know which one I'm talking about, right? He's searching for wealth, fame, whatever it is, and then it comes to a time where he has to use his wealth to get his health back. So he's never in the present moment, or in that moment he's forever chasing something. I've said it totally wrong. I've done no justice to that quote, but you know what I'm talking about.
We've all got it.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's a lot of he in that.
Yeah.
Isn't there? There's not a lot of
Mankind.
she in that quote. Well, there's not.
Mankind,
Why do we automatically say mankind? And
Yeah.
is that sexist?
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm not a burn your bra feminist sort of thing. I'm just kind of like, I believe in women's rights and all the rest of it. But I think if we're talking about pure equality with women and men, we almost don't want to be dramatising it. So I think, saying, things like mankind, things like that, that's fine because it is. I don't think anyone means anything by it. But I just think you can't. I don't know. I just think you can't think too deeply about certain things.
Yeah, I agree with that because I'm not a hardcore feminist, and
No.
I think feminism has ruined a lot of our lives. I'm so glad we're on the same page.
So feminism has ruined a lot of our lives.
Yeah.
I
What-
like
in
it
what
when a
way?
man holds a door open for me, or a man opens a car door or something like that.
Chivalry.
Yeah, chivalry isn't dead. I like that. But it doesn't mean, I do.
Let's
we're
talk
on the
because
same.
I like Sophie already now.
But going back onto the happiness thing, one thing that always stayed with me is that the feeling of happiness, no matter if you are a millionaire or if you don't have 2 pennies to rub together, the feeling of happiness is the same. So let's say, someone saved really hard and bought a Ford Focus, and a millionaire bought their first Lamborghini or whatever. The feeling of happiness is the same. It doesn't actually matter about.
You're right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, it doesn't matter. And they say there was a study that was done, and it might have changed now because cost of living, but that wealth corresponded with happiness up to £60,000 a year. Once you earn over that, wealth and happiness didn't correlate because essentially at that point you had money to live.
Right.
So I always think
Interesting.
Yeah.
So up to 60,000 a year.
Yeah, might be a bit more now. I don't know when that
People
study was.
desire it a little bit more. Give me more money. Give me more money. But after that, it doesn't correlate wealth and happiness.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I like the point that you've made about the Ford Focus and the Lamborghini, because happiness is in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this might be your first car, and I just feel really proud of,
Yeah.
oh, it's my car, I've got
Literally.
something, I've achieved it.
And that's why that measure of success I said at the beginning shouldn't be based on, monetary value, because someone could have worked way harder to earn that Ford Focus than the person who got the Lamborghini. It's the...
Well, look, happiness is in the moment. It's an emotion that you feel
Yeah.
right now, yeah?
Yeah, I think me actually hanging around or training people of different stages and calibers, I've redefined what it means to be successful. And for me, after going through the last 3 years, going through the intense therapy work, coming out of my own shell, it came down to one thing. It's how well are you connected to the people around you? How are you defining your happiness with your parents, your siblings, the work that you're doing? Because, I mean, going back to this very lightly, I don't want to make it about feminism or anything, because we can get deep. Females are really exhausted now. We're at burnout because we've been taught from a very young age, chasing ambitions, being this boss babe, being this high fly and everything. But deep down, all of us, I don't know if you agree with this, we just want to be loved, we want to be taken care of. And that goes down to the evolutionary biological makeup of why God made man a man and why God made female a female. I'm going back to basics. I'm living in that. And it's unfair to say that in that respect as well, because when I listen to my male colleagues, but you guys have been fighting for equality all your lives. I go, I haven't. Okay. Society did. And yes, we were given the chance to work and have all these rights and stuff. But I think it's our fault as well. We've been chasing something. And now we come back to ground zero. Oh, actually, it's not serving me anymore.
Yeah. I think that's so, growing up, I was just always very much one track, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to do my A-levels, I'm going to go to university and get a degree, and then I'm going to go into the corporate world. That was always just what my family had done, what the path was. And it was going back, it was following the money. So it was, graduated out of a degree, I went on to a grad scheme, I did that, and then I was thinking, where's the money? I wasn't at any point thinking, what do I actually want to do? What would I actually enjoy? So following the money, just because that was what I've been brought up to do. And my mum is she's my biggest role model. She's very, very successful in the corporate world. And I think just following her, and it was very much you don't rely on a man. That's how I was brought up. But
what have you learned from your mum?
Oh, do you know what it was? So my parents split up when I was probably, maybe 12 or 13. And if it wasn't for my mum having her own career, then we would have been completely on our arse. But she had this huge career that she'd built around me and my sister, and she managed to and at the time you don't realise it, because being that young you just think, oh well, life's going on as normal. But looking back now, the fact that she went essentially to a single income, a single parent, and our lives didn't really change. We still were very privileged that we still had our horses, we still went to private school, we moved to state school, but that's irrelevant. But our lives didn't change because she had that career. So what it's really taught me is you don't rely on anyone. I have a fantastic partner who's got an amazing career, but at no point am I ever going to think, oh, well, I'm just going to rely on you. I'm always going to have my own properties. I'm always going to have, my own life. And that's because of my mum. She's taught me you don't rely on a man.
That's amazing.
Are you really... What drives you?
What drives me?
Look, you're young. You're leading a business that's in a really competitive space, marketing, and you're at the top of that business.
I think what drives me is being independent and being able to have people to look up to me like I do my mum, and be able to kind of bring them through those ranks. So when I came out of uni, I went into the automotive industry, again following the money, went into the telecoms industry, all completely male dominated spaces. 1 in 10 people were girls, probably not even that. And I was just always kind of motivated to break through the mould. I remember when I was 21, fresh out of uni, I'd be walking into these automotive garages, into these service garages, little old me hello, trying to sell them stuff. And they were probably turning and they were looking at me pfft. And, I was a manager of an automotive branch, and we would have customers come in and they'd look straight past me and they'd go, "Can I speak to the manager, please?"
I love that.
And I'd be going, "I am the manager." And they'd be looking at all, you know, the people who are my employees behind me. And I think that's what drives me. I like that feeling. I like breaking through that barrier of going, "No, hun, it's me."
What was the feeling inside? You know, when they said, "Is the manager there?" And you're like, what does that do to you internally?
First time, it was a bit like, oh, you know, just a bit self-deflating almost. It was a bit self-deflating, whereas now I kind of relish it. I kind of like going into those situations and breaking through the barrier of what people first think.
I think that's the thing that we were discussing yesterday as well, perception, how people see you. And then when you actually get to know someone, it's totally different. And it's almost all of a sudden your guards either go up or they go down. Like the podcast guy who interviewed me yesterday, his perception of me 6 years ago was I was intimidating how I showed up on my social media, fears, you know, all the high fly words that you use when you're not sure about a person sometimes. And he said, "Oh, well, it's very different talking to you now." I go, "Actually, I'm all right with that. Yeah. I don't need you to understand me or our followers or the people that look up to us, as long as you get to understand yourself." And this quest, the journey, has been about redefining who you are again and again and again, to get to a place where you're like, I'm comfortable being who I am and what I'm doing, whether I'm a man or a woman. Yeah. And I had a complete different upbringing from you. Like, you had a single mum, I'm guessing, that brought you up, right? I had 2 parents, and I'm one of, five sisters. So my father was very much, wow. He was a proper girl's dad. But, I mean, there's good and bad in everything. Coming from different backgrounds and cultural backgrounds, religious backgrounds. But my father was the one who taught us, you have to be independent. Don't rely on other people. Yeah. Getting us the education that we all needed. Like, all of us have got degrees, master's degrees in the house. If it wasn't for him, I'm not sure how well we would have been showing up in the world, like standing up for ourselves, injustice, or being kind, being a good human being even. So parents have a good and an important role to play in our lives, surely. Like yesterday I was talking about how being a Bangladeshi, being a Muslim, and defining all those stereotypes was very hard when you don't have the support of parents, or you have trauma at a very young age and all that stuff. So it's really nice to see different perceptions as well, different people from different backgrounds and how they were brought up. Yeah.
You both said independence. You both said being in control and being in charge of my own future, my own progression, where I am right now, is super, super crucial to me. What about the rest of society? Are you seeing that in other people? They've got a sense of independence, or they've not got it yet?
I think, well, I can't speak for you. I can only speak from my background and what I've noticed. Like, culturally, we females are brought up with this whole idea and the pressure, should I say, as well, to be X, Y, and Z. And the first one, the pressure that we face is to be married. That is seen as success. That is seen as the height of that you've made it. Getting married, having children. Then you have the house, then you have a car. Those things define a lot of us in our community. The height of what success means. I haven't achieved most of them on that list, okay? So when I spent most of my journey looking into who I was becoming, you can't help but feel this feeling of, have I made it in life? Am I a failure according to the people around me, according to my parents' expectations of me? And that became a very, a heavy burden. And being the eldest, being that role model, being of a background, Bangladeshi, we're ticking all these boxes of being Bangladeshi, a woman, being Muslim. You have your own stereotypes, the discrimination that comes with it. And I always say to parents, the biggest thing that I had to win over was my parents, right? I needed them to be on my side because I kept battling, because I'm trying to validate my experiences, making sure they're happy. If they're not happy, therefore I'm a failure. So when I said to you at the beginning, it's all my failures that makes me successful, I have failed so many times over the years, in 10 years. And I still don't think I can reach to a point where I'll be like 100% happy, because there's always something else to do. And there's always something else to achieve, whatever. Yeah.
But the house, the marriage, the car, you said you've not ticked off a lot of those things. How does that make you feel, saying that?
Sometimes, if I'm really honest, sometimes I worry a lot.
About what?
Like the stability of it all. Because I chose a very, very different path. I left a very comfortable 9-to-5 job. I left the comfort, the security of money coming in to pursue this dream, this passion that took me through highs and the lows, to hell and back. And you do sit there and you think, well, what matters to you the most? Where are you right now? Because we focus so much on the future that creates the fear, the anxiety. And this year I just decided, whatever happens, it will happen. It is what it is. I'm just going to go with the flow.
Let's both answer that question. What matters most right now to both of you?
I'm coming out of my shell a lot more after the last 3 years. I don't know if I spoke about this on the last podcast. I was going to get married. It didn't work out. And I feel like I'm starting all over again. And this time I have so much knowledge behind me. And I'm so certain of who I am. So what makes me happiness right now is, am I feeling fulfilled? And am I doing what my purpose, my higher purpose is calling for me? That's what's going to be driving me this year. That's the most important thing right now. Literally. And those happiness, I mean, I can say to you, being here is making me happy. Talking to you, getting to know somebody different, reconnecting with your team and everything. It's in a moment, isn't it? So, yeah.
What about you? What's most important right now?
I think focusing on... I've always been someone who's like looking 5 years ahead, like constantly. Yeah. And I think...
did you get that from your mum?
Yeah. And I think, and it's funny. So I was having a conversation with her the other day and I was like, what's next? How can I progress the company more? How can I do this? How can I do that? And she said, for once, you just need to take a step back because I'm 27 and she said, you'll get to a point where your ability outgrows your experience. And you have to wait a little bit for your experience to catch up because then you have those, the lessons, the failures, and you learn and then you can adapt. So I think at the minute what's important for me is just making sure that I'm happy, in my personal life and that I'm not constantly looking for the next thing and I'm taking in what I've got at the moment and being, not always looking ahead because, you said you're never going to get there. If you're always looking ahead, you're never going to be happy with what you've got right now.
I think it's also important to clarify what you just said. It's so important to be happy in your personal life because that dictates every area of your other parts of your life. If you're sad in your relationship or your marriage or home, that will have a huge impact on your business.
You can't perform in work.
You're not going to bring it into the workplace, are you?
Yeah. So, happiness 2024, right?
You did say early on, actually, you've mentored, coached, helped lots of celebrities, lots of millionaires. Where did celebrities get it wrong?
So it's not my quote. Marissa Peer said this. And I always remember this, and it's so true. It's most of us don't feel enough. And that was true of my journey being a boxer, going through the eating disorder, trying to be attractive, not realizing that I never felt good enough. And that's the same across with a lot of people. So when I've worked with some of the millionaires and some of the celebs, fame is great if you know how to channel that fame. Fame is great when you don't, how do I say it? You're not drinking out of that cup for you to feel validated, right? When you have accepted where you are, that's great. It's amazing. But where I feel like a lot of people lose it is when they go above that threshold of what they can't handle sometimes and they neglect themselves. They neglect their health, their fitness, self-care, loving themselves, validating themselves from within. And I feel like a lot of people, their personal development stops at some point when they make it. So that's where I find it's a bit of a sticky one. So like when I get the CEOs or the associate directors, and it's amazing to see these people, especially the females, like they're at the highest end. Like I look at them, I think, wow. But you're coming to me to learn how to be confident, how to feel unstuck, how to increase your self-esteem, how to have a better relationship in your marriage, how to have a better relationship with yourself. And when they say, I don't love myself, I'm like, I beg your pardon? Like, what? It doesn't make sense to me. But then it does make sense to me when I go through the program with them because they haven't done the inner work and they get to this place. And again, going on to another thing, sometimes a lot of people use work, whatever it is, as a distraction, because they're trying to avoid or not go down that rabbit hole of the wound, the root, the scars, whatever's hurt them. So, yeah.
Very cool. You've got me wanting to ask Sophie a question, actually.
Go for it.
Because, you know, when you said you looked up at these people and you're like, wow, look at all the things that they've achieved. Now, Sophie, from a professional perspective, I mean, 27, you've achieved a lot. And what are some of your disciplines in work that you would attribute some of your success to your progression down to?
So initially, when I first just came out of university, was into the workplace, I was very, can I say ballsy? Just very like confident, and was just like, you know, nothing to lose, because you know nothing, right? So you just kind of go in and, you know, just nothing to lose, confident. And I fell into kind of sales, and that's what I was good at. And then I was very much like a maverick. Like, I didn't care really about, you know, how I got there. I was just going to get there, and I was very driven. And then I think as I've then progressed into kind of a management role, what I've really learned is that, you know, gung-ho-ness can only get you so far, and actually you need to rein it in and become extremely organised and meticulous about processes. And the stuff that I didn't care about initially, because I just wanted to sell and do whatever, actually I think got me to a point, but then it was actually homing in on the people skills, the organisation, and just, I think I know it sounds weird, but I'm just extremely organised. Like, every day, if you looked on my phone in my notes, my day is planned in 15-minute intervals every single day.
So for people listening to this right now,
Wow.
if there's 3 things that they can do to become exceptionally organised, more systematic in the workplace, what are the 3 things they should do?
It's all about habit. So you need to be consistent with it.
With what?
So with being organised, I'm not saying everyone needs to plan their day to, you know, to that degree of accuracy like I do, but for me that's what helps me. But I think plan your day in advance, and so that it goes outside of work. So for example, it goes into like your nutrition. So I plan what I'm having to eat today. I have my food diary logged the day before, I have my meals planned the day before, I have my workout planned the day before, and I have my work schedule planned the day before. So I have everything is meticulously organised. And I know that's not a cheat. Like, loads of my friends, they're like, you're such a weirdo, I can't believe you have it. But for me, that's what works, and that's how I get everything done, you know, and I don't procrastinate. I think naturally I could be a bit of a procrastinator, so that's what helps me. And I think the way that you then stick to that is by doing it religiously. So you have to, you find your routine of what makes you get stuff done, and then you have to stick to it.
Genius what you just did, by the way, because I asked for 3 things and you said, you know, plan it the day before.
Yeah.
Plan what your day before. Plan your day, your work day, the schedule, whatever it is. Plan the food that you're going to eat the day before, and plan your workout the day before. Is that like music to your ears?
I laugh because I was that person once, and I'm laughing because I am the total opposite of you right now. Like, I wish I had that organisation.
I got given a book a few weeks back called Scatterbrains. Yeah. I've not read it yet. I use Scatterbrains at the moment.
I would say so, yeah. I mean, I am a very disciplined person, but I also say I'm the most undisciplined person in so many different areas of my life. And I think that's where probably I struggled a lot in my business or work. I had this hobby, this passion, an idea, and I loved helping people. But it took me longer to get where I am now because I didn't have that dedication.
What are your disciplines now?
I would say more. So if I think back at it, the last couple of years I've been healing this wounded feminine energy, and I had to really work with the flow of myself, being a woman. Actually, you know, like, we have menstrual cycles. We can't always be go. We need to rest, and understanding that, you know, understanding I'm getting older, my hormones are at play. I have to be a bit more kinder to myself. That's the key word I think I'm looking for. A bit more relaxed and having mercy on myself.
Is that a discipline that you've got now?
I do, you know, I do have. I have implemented, and I have been doing this for years, like taking myself out on self-love dates, taking days out where I just do nothing, whatever tickles my fancy, go and eat what you want. And I had to also heal a eating disorder in the last decade or so. So I went from extreme discipline to, in my 30s, I would say, well, the first part of the 30s was becoming aware I've got an issue, then realizing this issue has dictated every area of my life. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be that girl that people see as she's the boxer or she's a fitness coach. I just want to be me who enjoys life. And doing that, just being a bit more relaxed, has allowed me to be this person, like going into my childlike, being playful, being nurturing, being caring. But I'm still very strict with my discipline when it comes to the gym. All right. So when I teach my clients, like, look, you got to have some flexibility in your life as well, because there will come a day, like it did for me, where something goes, I don't want to do this anymore. And you go from one end to another. But my discipline is knowing that I have got a routine and I know what I'm doing. Otherwise, it will be chaos. Yeah. And we don't need chaos.
And it's personality types, isn't it? Like, you know, my sister, for example, she naturally is very organised. So I think if she planned like I did, it would, you know, bring on kind of, because she suffered with an eating disorder and she has a very addictive personality. Yeah. So if she tried to plan like I did, it would become an obsession.
Literally.
Whereas I am completely the opposite. Like, I'm very much, like, my mum always said, you know, primary school, my sister would revise for hours for a spelling test and get 10 out of 10, whereas I would do absolutely no work leading up to it and get 9 out of 10 and be like, that's all right. And so it's I think it's what works with different personality types as well. But yeah, and I was just thinking about kind of what, so it's actually only probably happened within the past couple of years. So I've always kind of regretted and been like, I don't have a skill. Like, I'm not skilled. That's what I've always said, you know, because I don't have a trade. I'm not, you know, I can't sing, I can't dance, you know, that sort of thing. And I've always felt like kind of being kind to yourself, like you said, I haven't been very kind to myself, because all along I've been like, well, I don't have a skill and, you know, I'm useless. What can I do? And then actually, I think in the past couple of years, I've realised actually being good with other people, communication and, you know, sales and that sort of thing, that's a skill within itself.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what I never appreciated, because I thought, well, everyone can speak to other people and everyone can get along. And actually, I mean, especially being in marketing, we have, as you can imagine, you know, some of our best web designers, they speak in code, you know, if you try to put them on a sales call, they, you know, but, and I think for me, that's what was a pivotal point, is being kind to myself, and actually that I do have a skill, and you don't have to be able to sing, dance, code, build, whatever, if you can just sell yourself and just be a nice person.
Is communication your super skill?
I'd say so, yeah.
How does someone develop that?
So I think to a degree it is a personality trait, I think, but I do think you can improve on it if it's something that naturally doesn't come to you. And again, it's being organised. So communication via, for example, email or messaging, just being prompt and just actually, you know, replying with what you can, that can teach. But I think communication on a person-to-person level, what I learned is to listen to someone first and foremost. So I remember when I first started in sales, I'd be unknowingly speaking a lot about me and, you know, and whereas actually if you're asking kind of open-ended questions, and people love to speak about themselves. And I think that's the key to being a good communicator. Asking open questions, making other people speak to you about themselves, and then it leads you into more interesting conversations.
Good little tips, but I like it. So between us, the disciplines, we've got plan your day in advance. This is what you've got. Plan your day in advance. Plan your food in advance for tomorrow. Plan your workout in advance for tomorrow. Then you said, you better be kind to yourself as well.
Yeah.
And in that you said, relax.
Be compassionate.
Be compassionate and be true to yourself.
Yeah.
But then you also threw in the other one, which was flexible. So I've put the relax and true and compassionate under being kind to yourself. But you also said then be flexible as you go.
It's funny because we're almost at complete opposite ends of the spectrum. And I feel like the key word to connect them is balance. Like you need to have, I think you need to have the kind of routine to, you know, get where you want and to know, you know, to know what you want. I mean, as you said, you in your 20s were very much kind of the same. And but then you also need to have that balance so that you don't become obsessed with it and you still
You're right.
But I do think like when you're working for yourself, there are years that you don't know what the word balance means. Like I went to sleep, waking up. When I was an amateur boxer, at your age, it was sleep boxing, eat boxing, do everything boxing. Every conversation was boxing, boxing, boxing. And look at me, Miss Boxer. And then it was like, it was boring to a lot of people. Then when I decided to do my own thing, I became obsessed with the work. And it was laptop at the dinner table when I'm watching television, and the family's like, okay, but then it's my sister that I had to point out, like, you're not with us, you're just there. We're making plans, you're saying yes, and you don't show up because I've not listened. There is a balance of no balance sometimes. And then some years you're like, okay, I do want to be present here.
Well, I was taught by a great, actually, that you got to assess balance over a lifetime, because sometimes you can look at someone and from in your eyes, in your judgmental eyes, it might look like they're out of balance, but you don't know what's going on in their world. And they might be doing all of that now so that they get all of this free time then.
Absolutely.
So they might look out of balance in both areas, but when you assess it over a lifetime or over a longer period, it makes more sense.
I mean, I had it when I kind of first went into the telecom industry, I was working all the hours God sent, and I was earning a really, really good wage. This is when I thought money was everything. I was earning a lot of money for, I mean, I was, 22, 23 years old. I was earning loads of money. But then I was like, I actually hate what I'm doing. Like, I hate telecoms. I couldn't get excited about wires in the ground and VoIP and whatever. I just couldn't. And I couldn't bring that passion to it. So what I kind of thought then was, right, I need to turn this around. And I had to make quite a big sacrifice in going into marketing. I saved like stink when I was in the telecoms, and I bought a property that I could rent out, because I knew I do not want to be in telecoms forever, and I absolutely hate this. And I know if I leave this industry, I'm going to have to take quite a substantial pay cut to do that. So bought a rental property so that would give me a buffer in kind of the drop in salary, and then moved into marketing just as like a low level account manager, and then have worked my way up from that. And I think that was one of my biggest lessons in life, because I'd always chased the money, and then actually one day I just thought, what do I enjoy? What do I actually want to do? And did take that big pay, hit to do so, but it's the best thing I could have ever done. And I think for anyone who, is young and feels like they're in kind of that rat race just to earn all the money in corporate companies, it's like not thinking about the money and doing what you actually enjoy is one of my...
Did that make you more passionate then about making that decision to say, look, I want to enjoy what I'm doing here? Did that ignite more passion?
Yeah.
Did it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the first time in my career I'd ever done something for happiness, which sounds ridiculous, but it was. I'd only ever thought of a career as a way to earn money. That's all I'd ever thought about it as. And actually going into marketing, realising, oh, I can actually enjoy what I'm doing and earn money at the same time. It just made me so much more driven. And I think I provide a better service to not only, the employees and being a better manager, but also to the clients, because it's so obvious if someone doesn't enjoy their job. Like, I mean, in the company, we always say, like, if we have someone who works for us and they're not enjoying it, we just say, please just go. Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, that it comes across to clients, and that's one of my biggest things.
I think it's amazing you did that at a very young age as well, because what you've just done, asking those important questions, a lot of people ask many years later, like in their 40s or their 50s. What do I enjoy? I've done this rat race, so amazing. Kudos to you.
Yeah, I mean, just on that last point that you raised there, if someone's not enjoying it, we say, please just go. Is that how you fire people?
Yeah, so we've
got two extremes here, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've got, you're fired. Who's that? Alan Sugar. All right, you're fired. And we've got, look, you're not enjoying it, please.
Well, we saw. I mean, it was at BizX last year. Mary Portas was there, and and her talk was amazing. And it's something we really installed into be kind. And not only does that come across, personal situations, but it's be kind to your employees. Like, if this, if someone's clearly not enjoying it, it's clearly not what they want to be, but they, they might be there because of habit, or, just people stay in jobs that they shouldn't be in, don't they? It's just the way of the world. But I think we've adopted that be kind method, because it's one kind of for them. So
what do you do to be kind then? What's the practical solution?
So it's just I guess it's just having routine checks, and it's kind of just having those conversations and being really open in the sense of, do you actually enjoy what you're doing? And do you enjoy working for us? You know, what can we improve? And obviously we'll always, if there's ways to improve.
How often do you do that elicit that kind of feedback?
Monthly, yeah.
Every month?
Every month.
That's intense.
Yeah, every month. We have this
Are you
thing.
enjoying what you're doing?
Yeah.
Is there any area we can improve? How many questions do you ask on that?
So we have something called PACE. So it's an acronym. So it stands for kind of performance, ability, compassion, and excellence.
It's cool.
So we're kind of going through these every month. And if someone's, you know, if someone's not happy, that's why we emphasise the be kind. Because not only is it kinder to the company to let someone, you know, to let someone go because it's affecting the company, it's kinder for them because ultimately it's not nice, but, you know, we've all been in jobs we don't like. And also it's kinder to the client. It's kinder in every sense of the word. If something's not the right fit, don't stay out, because also you'll stay to the point where there's so much hate and resentment built up that by the time you leave, then you've burnt the bridge completely.
A lot of people, a lot of business owners, leaders, executives, they get scared about firing people. Are you scared of it?
I mean, I don't think anyone with this, you know, I don't think anyone can enjoy it, but I'm not.
No.
No, we actually went through quite a transitional phase in the business last year with the emergence of AI and everything like that. And we were kind of a team of 30. Yeah. And we really had to whittle that down, you know, with kind of all of our, because we had a team of, you know, 7 content writers. And as soon as ChatGPT came out, it just made such an you can't use, I mean, I won't go into AI because I could speak about it all day, but essentially as a business we had to go through such a huge monumental shift, and we did have to let go a lot of people, and it was absolutely awful. But I think it ignited the fire in the other staff to think, oh God, I need to make myself valuable here. And I mean, I do not enjoy firing people, to answer the question, of course not, but I'm not scared of it.
I was creating pictures in my mind that, you know, behind the scenes you're this ruthless cutthroat Alan Sugar.
Yeah. But I think it's important though to decide for yourself as a human being. Do you want to be around that energy? Do you want to be around
one bad apple?
Yeah, and it can literally ruin everything. Like, I work with one-to-one clients, and that one client can make me become a bad coach to the other 5 clients that I'm working with in that day. And I experienced that last year, and it was just that dread. Yeah. Like going in, I go...
Work dread.
Yeah. I go, I've not experienced this. Why am I feeling this way? But what I do when I'm doing the consultation, I decide if I want to work with you or not. And people think, and I said this openly on my social media, at that stage, you think you're here for a consultation, but I'm actually deciding if I want to work with you.
It's a two-way street.
Yeah. And I think...
How many people do you say no to?
A fair amount, because I increase my prices. So that's the gentlest way I can say I don't want to work with you, because I know they can't afford it. And instead of saying I don't want to work with you, because I don't want to be that person that hurts somebody's feeling. Right. And they're already coming in with issues and trauma, and I might be the last hope, and they come in. And it might be out of my scope even, what I can do. So it's like, okay.
You got to be strong though. You got to be strong, courageous to say no.
Yeah, but I love the work that I do because I can see it before they even tell me, or I can feel it, or whatever it is. And when you become in tune with who you are and your energy field and all that kind of stuff, you know exactly what to do. And it's just this weird intuitive feeling that says to you, or this thing is talking to you, this is not the right candidate. So going back to this one client, I was like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to train her. She's bringing me down, and I'm the most happiest when I'm at work. And I had to have a conversation with her on a few occasions to say, look, we can't keep talking about this, and this. If you want the help, I can do this, X, Y, and Z. By the 4th time, I thought, I can't deal with this. So saying goodbye to clients or employees is important. It's healthy.
Really.
It is something that you do to look after yourself, and you have to understand where your boundaries are as well, what you can handle and what you can't. And you don't have to put up with everything. I know it's sad to say it, but sometimes letting something go, there's other opportunities. When one door closes, another one always opens. I'm a true believer of that.
Not all business is good business.
Literally.
That's something we've
literally. Not every opportunity is a great opportunity. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier on about, it was a general statement that you made about women feeling burnout. I mean, what struggles do women have that men don't have?
I think I speak heavily about this with my clients, and I never realize, look, being a human nowadays is hard, right? You have your struggles as a man, I have my struggles as a woman. And I should never, ever feel ashamed to admit those struggles, whether you agree with it or not.
Yeah.
These are my struggles. Collectively as females, we can talk about, well, we have menstrual cycles. We don't have a choice in that. We have to go through it for the cycle of life. Then we have to think about this whole idea of being this person at work, coming home, cleaning.
Does a man have to do that though as well?
I'm sure they do. Of course they do.
Not in my household.
But exactly, from my upbringing, men are just breadwinners. They have it tough as well. I'm not saying that, so please don't come at me, okay? But we all have our different struggles in our different ways. But for females, when we think about the complexities of going through a menstrual cycle, and I never paid attention to this until a bit later on in life. Like we go through a psychological change, we go through a physical change, emotional change, spiritual change, hormonal changes. Everything goes out of the window being sane, right? I'm just literally a different person. The cuddles, and neuroscientifically, when I studied this, how it changes our brain when we go on that cycle. And back in the days where we weren't chasing careers, when it was the time of the month for a lot of females, you were in bed, you were doing house chores, or you're doing things, now we can run a bath, all those little things that you don't have to be at the forefront of running this marketing company or whatever it is. But we always have to be on the go. Like I made a joke about it. Only a female can get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, having started a period, and still be at work at 9 o'clock on time, right? And if you understand how draining it is, it's exhausting. So now we pile up this whole idea of where we are in modern society. Go get a job. Be at the top end of your job. Make sure you're getting enough income coming in. Come home, clean. Then if you have children, looking after the children. Then if it's a single mom, the pressures are even more demanding. And I can only say this now because I work with the females. And I have so much respect for the single mums, because those who decide to work with me, they're now choosing to become a better human being, finding the time, one, to work out, finding the energy to make their food, because that impacts their children. And whether we like to admit or not, going back to, again, addressing men have their own struggles, we have our own struggles, then being a mum, then X, Y, and Z, whatever stages you're in your life, those children are with you 24/7, right? If you're a single mum, those children are with you everywhere you go. You have to do everything. And I remember this lady, Teal Swan, said this: society wasn't made for single parents, whether you're a man or a woman, because we need the polarity of man and woman together if we want a functional society. And I think that's where we have failed society so much, because now we're chasing high ambition, this, the Ferrari, the glamorous lifestyle. We have gone so far away from the gender roles. And if you can have an unfunctioning household, then society is not functioning at all, is it? So, going back to answer your question, the exhaustion comes from trying to be everything. And we can't be everything. I can't do what you can do, and you can't do what I can do. And that's why I said right at the beginning, God made man a man for a reason. God made woman a woman for a reason. And when we understand, I come from an Islamic background. We have a whole different take on those ideas of what it means to be a man and a woman compared to what modern society teaches us or what feminism has taught us. I'm like, well, it doesn't fit in with the way I was brought up. I was brought up watching my dad being the breadwinner. I was brought up watching my mum being the housewife, the typical housewife. And she did an amazing job. She made sure we were all fed, clothed. We had a great kinship with siblings. She made sure we were studying, doing the homework. Dad came in, there's the money, there you go, gave mum an allowance. I'm like, okay, I don't mind a bit of that.
I was going to say.
I don't mind.
What advice would you give to men in order to get the best out of the females that are in their lives, that are experiencing any of or all of this, the feeling that they've got to do everything?
I think at the end of it, right, females want to be going through the main things that we spoke about, what a man's role is or a woman's role is: the protector, the provider, and the person that leads, right? The female's job is the nurturing, the caring, the looking after, right? What a man can do, and I've seen this as well, is ask your partner, what do you need from me? Again, coming back to communication. We don't ask the right questions in relationships or marriages.
What's the right question?
the right question will be, how would you like to be loved?
Oh, love languages.
Yeah.
That is something I'm hugely into. Yeah.
It's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah.
How would
Yeah.
you like to be loved?
Yeah.
How do you like to be loved? And if you ask majority of the people, they don't know, but they expect their partners to love them with this idea.
It's a nice exploration question, though, isn't it? I mean,
Absolutely.
how do you like to be loved? Let's brainstorm it.
Yeah.
Who's asked you that question before?
Yeah. Well. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm massively into the different love languages. Obviously, you've got, what is it? Acts of service, gifts, words
touch.
of affirmation, physical touch. And I think it's so interesting. I look back at previous relationships that didn't work out, for example, and I think, oh my goodness, now that you know about the love languages, it's so obvious. But so for example, my partner's is massively words of affirmation, whereas mine's is more acts of service, for example. So the best thing that he could do for me would be to, it sounds ridiculous, but take the bins out or do something, like that. Whereas for him, it's kind of about, speaking how I feel and, that.
But we also have a duty as females to make sure that our men are looked after as well. So it works hand in hand by asking those questions. Like when I was going to get married to the guy I was getting to know, we were two different people. He was more of an introvert. I was more of an extrovert. I had a notebook, and I called it my relationship book. And I had to write down questions because I knew I had issues with communication. So the best thing that I could do was write the questions, get him to fill it up, and he would do the same. And it was a great way of getting to know one another. And the other thing, other than the love language, is learn about your partner's attachment style. And attachment style is something how you were brought up, the needs, emotional needs, the physical needs, was it met when you were growing up? Because that manifests, if you didn't get that need met, that manifests in your adult romantic relationships. So when I've coached a lot of my clients, the moment you heal a person's childhood trauma or unresolved conflicts, they ease into their natural way of being loved or natural way of giving to the household or the partners or wherever it is, the dynamics of work, they just flourish.
Yep.
So I think it's important that we understand that both genders are struggling nowadays, because even when you look at the dating industry right now, I love it. I absolutely thrive when a man comes up to me and says, I think you're X, Y, and Z, can I have your number? You don't get that anymore because they're scared to approach us because we made it hard, unfortunately.
Is that the way has that gone now? Is it out the window?
Well, I don't
go up to someone.
I don't get chatted up anymore on the streets, but compared to before.
I'm a long time married, so I wouldn't know if that still exists or not. But I'm guessing it does, unless it's all online now. Is it all online?
Majority of it is, and I think it's horrible.
I met my wife
sometimes.
online on a dating website. Yeah,
Which one? I need to go on it.
Mash.com.
Oh wow, it works. It does work for people, I think, if you want to make it work. I think there is an exhaustion in the dating game as well, because nobody's bothered anymore. They're like, okay, it's just disposable.
Yeah.
Humans become disposable
it's so
now.
idealist, I think, as well. Before it was kind of you meet organically and you would get to know each other that way. Whereas I think on a date, on a dating website now, you'd basically list everything you're looking for. So for a guy and a woman vice versa, if a woman's kind of put on it, I want someone over 6 foot, I want someone tall, dark, handsome, I want someone who's funny and has this career and that career, before that man's even sent them a message, they're probably thinking, oh, bloody hell, she wants a lot. Whereas like before, it would be so simple just to say hi. You don't know
it's
what
intimidating
they want.
both ways, though. That is.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times a guy has come up to me and said, oh, I thought you were going to be really stuck up.
Me too.
that is 9 times out of 10, and sort of what men say, and it's just like, what would give you, that impression? But
I get that a lot, like especially
the
in the
time.
gym. I never approach you because I thought you'd be taken. Why wouldn't you be taken? I'm like, okay. I call it the pretty girl problem, man.
Oh.
99 problems.
All right, 99 problems. First world problems,
Yeah.
I think, though, as a female, just going back to a point where you said about the female challenges, being at 27, kind of kids for me and my partner is definitely on the horizon within, the next couple of years. My partner's desperate for them now. He would love them now. But for me, I know someone's career's got to give. Not forever.
Yeah.
But
how you feel about
for
that?
a good couple of years, and it's something that I've really been adjusting to, because my career's all I've ever thought about. It's all I've been driven to. But he's the exact same. He's very successful in his own right, and it's kind of, I know deep down it's going to be my career that has to take a break.
Well, my wife stopped her career for kids. for us.
Well, and you
I would do the same.
So I could continue mine.
Yeah, and that's I know heart of hearts what will happen. You know, and I'm not going to say stop because you know it's a. You know, hopefully it would resume, but you know, for a good couple of years, and especially with the price of childcare. I mean, in our area, you're looking at £1,500 a month for one kid. Let alone, I mean, twins run in my partner's family. So if I have twins, you're looking at £3,000 a month for.
Gone.
And then
We've got twins.
I can't wait to look after my children, and I've happily said this. When people say, "Well, do you not want to carry on working?" I'm like, "No, the work is going to be 24 at home," and I feel like now is the time. I would love to do that.
I don't think that's something. And I can't speak for all men, but I feel like that's something that men don't necessarily know. They think, oh, you're at home with the... Like, I've got plenty of friends with kids, and, you know, their partner's out all day working, absolutely, 9 till 5, and then they come back and they expect their dinner made for them and all the rest of it. And they're like, well, you've just been at home all day. And it's like, yes, but... You know, they've done, you know, the woman's done the night feeds and has slept for probably 2 hours. And, she, you know, it's so monotonous. And I think especially from being career driven previously, but very mentally stimulating. Whereas if you then suddenly go to just one-to-one time with a baby all the time, it can be like, my mum has said, as much as she loves me dearly, it's boring, really, really boring. And you're going from that high career, stimulating, you know, real intellectual conversations to drop down to that. And then your partner comes home and thinks, oh, we've just been playing with the baby all day. I think that is something that can cause a lot of friction.
Yeah, I see it with the girls that are trained, you know, the high flyers, the stay-at-home mums. That's where the depression kicks in for a lot of females as well. But I think after a few years, when they go back to doing something that they love, or they have that community tribal and thing, it gets better. But having said that as well, it's important that we do nurture our children. It's important that we do have the full capacity to say, this is my child, I'm going to look after them. Otherwise, bringing a child into this world and ditching them in a nursery is so upsetting. It's so... What's the point of having that child? And, you know, like, some people are great parents because they're consciously parenting. And some people, unfortunately, society means they have to take that person and go to work again. So we have to look at all sides of what's going on as well. But I feel like sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves as females. Like, even you thinking about your future, having a child, you have to give up your work.
That's the thing. Yeah.
But instead of saying the word give up, you can just say something like, okay, I'm going to take a rest from work for a year while I breastfeed the child, and I get my sleeping pattern and I get my body all right. You can always come back to it.
But that's what scares me is, can I come back to it? Will that be gone? You know, will everything I built be gone? That's what scares me.
But I think that's what the fear is about society.
If you're going to ask, will it be gone? You've got to balance the question out with, will it still be there?
I think this is exactly the conversation we get to the like, when we want to think about the penny drop moment. This is what stops a lot of females doing what they want to do and thinking about family. The fear of losing the empire. Yeah. But what if you can have it all? Like, I know for a fact, I've been thinking in my head, I love the work that I do. When I have children, I want to be that woman that can look after her children and do something on the side, or somehow. Yeah, why can't we?
Yeah, I like the challenge. You know, what if you can have it all?
Yeah.
There's a gentleman named Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, of course, we know him very well.
He's very outspoken. He speaks incredibly well on subjects. He's very well researched. Whether you like him or don't like him,
I like him.
He's okay.
I don't think I know who he is.
It's all right. It's all right. One of his 12 laws is agreeableness, and he's online. It's very well documented this online, that he's been very expressive about this. But he says the reason that some females have not gone high up in their career as men is because they're too agreeable. In nature, generally speaking, more percentage of them are more agreeable to, and disagreeableness or agreeableness, whichever way you want to go, is an essential ingredient in moving up your career path. And what do you think about Jordan Peterson saying that?
In a marriage, you can't have yes sir, no sir, oh my god, everything. It gets boring. It runs out of the course of who you are. I became an introvert because I was agreeing to a lot of things and settling. once I came out of it, I'm like, oh my God, I lost myself in that. I don't know who I am anymore, because I didn't know how to disagree, or I didn't want to disagree, because I wanted a good path. I wanted, everything. So I do understand where Jordan Peterson is coming from, but you have to be very strong in who you are. And the most confident person in a room is the person who's certain about who they are. So certainty about, this is what I want for my future. I know I'm not going to stand up for this. Or actually, you know what, you're right. And owning up to your mistakes. And I love his relationship stuff and everything. There's a few things that he's done over the years that's gone far from what he was when he came up. But I like that take on what he said. I don't know if that answers your question or not. But yeah.
I do like the confidence spin that you've put on it though as well. And being certain of yourself and being certain of your future direction in the moment right now. That's going to be the most confident person in the room. What about Andrew Tate? You heard of Andrew Tate?
You really bringing these questions to us.
Well, he's been very outspoken on the subject, hasn't he?
And what really surprised me is, so I'm not naive I know that you surround yourself with similar people, right? Yeah. So in my circle, I'm not going to see that, but Facebook, social media, I've got so many, like over 1,000 friends on Facebook. I barely know who these people are anymore, if I knew them to start with, half of them. And I see so many people who agree with what he's saying and are actually sharing, these kind of videos that he's made and talks that he's done, and they're like 100%, this is how it should be. And I'm thinking, we went to the same school, we grew up in the same area. Like, we're not, okay, yes, upbringings can change it, but fundamentally, we're relatively similar in this, in the whole world. If you grow up in the same area, you go to the same school, there's going to be some commonalities. And I just think, how can your mindset be that?
What's your opinion on it?
I think he's extreme. Like, he's an extremist in his views. So I think some of his views, if not so extreme, could be agreeable. So it kind of goes into what you're saying. The woman's the caregiver. The man, the man's going to take care. The man's going to be the one to take care of the family, the breadwinner, etc. That works for a lot of people, but he's so extremist in his views that I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. And I think in this day and age, I think a woman can do what they want. I've got friends where they're the breadwinner, and when they have kids. The CEO of the company, of the marketing company, who that I run, she is the breadwinner, and her husband raised the girls. She went back to work 6 weeks after having her firstborn. So I don't think it has to be that way. And I think the way that I think he's a very intelligent man. Yeah. Because I think to get to where he is, you have to be quite intelligent. But I think the issue is that he is very impressionable on people who aren't so intelligent and people who aren't educated in this space. And I think that's what's so damaging, is that his voice is heard by very impressionable young men. And I think that's what's damaging.
Got some quick questions for you both here. Female role models. Who are the main female role models that you know of around the world? You said your mum earlier on. Let's just go for other people, the audience that know of. Female role models around the world, and why? Who are the main ones that's standing out for you?
You go first, my brain's gone blank.
I was just going to think.
So I don't feel like I grew up having strong female role models. I watched my mum, and resilience is something I took from her. Grit, persistence, hardworking. And a part of my brain rejects some of those hardworking ideas because she's exhausted. She's tired. Right? I've been a sports person, so all the role models that I had come from sports background and stuff. So my first ever one was Muhammad Ali's daughter, Layla Ali. And that's the first person that comes into my head because she was a huge part of me being a boxer, seeing a brown female, right? Being a woman, being confident, all that kind of stuff. Now, my mind is blurred because we have too much out there. There's so much going out there. I'm trying to remember her name. Is it that guy, Hermosis? What's his name? Come on.
Alex Hermosi?
Yes, his wife. I forgot her name. She's amazing.
Lelia as well.
Lelia. She's amazing. She's somebody I follow. And she speaks with such eloquency, such grace.
And she's in the moment right now.
Literally. And for her, she is what I call a perfect role model right now for me today, because I've been watching a lot of her stuff. That might change by the end of the year. But the reason why I like someone like her is because she has a sports background. She's athletic. She decided to be with somebody who's made it. And she's a public figure. How does she contribute to his success? And how do they make the partnership work? Like, they are probably one of the few people, I would say, how do I say it? You know, the marriage is perfect couple goals. Right. That's it. So that's one of them that comes into my head.
All right. Over to you, Sophie.
I actually, and this is what is so awful, is I can't think of one. All of the role models, as in not as in personal, but as in, like, you know, public figures that I've always kind of grown up thinking about are male when I think about it. Or if I'm thinking of certain females, you know, that I really like and really aspire to, they come from they might have a famous husband or a famous dad, and they kind of come from that. And what I'm trying to think of is, I mean, and I can think of one, but I mean, no one will know it, but she kind of went from nothing to, and it's Instagram influencers, it's a very up there topic, but she's a girl called Perry Shan, and she started with absolutely no followers, and she comes from a very, like, you know, working class background, and she has built her business up to something incredible, and it's what I aspire to, is people who've built it from nothing. That's what I aspire to, and I'm trying to think of different female role models who've come from nothing.
Well, let's ask the audience. You know, in the interest of finding more female role models, do comment with who your favourite female role model is and why. Yeah. Put them out, and let's do the market research. Yeah. Let's find out more. I've got another question for you. I want to see which side of the fence you're on. Most influential woman, Oprah or Beyonce? Most influential out of those two. Who'd you say?
I would say Beyonce.
Beyonce.
Yeah.
You're both going for Beyonce. Yeah. Why?
Because she probably talks to different generations as well, females. Oprah Winfrey, I knew she was amazing. Yeah. But you only get to find out about her when you do the research on her.
Yeah.
Whereas
true.
Beyonce is in your face. And she's married to one of the icons. Yeah. So you're like, she's intriguing. Yeah.
I think it's with that. I think it's all about people who I aspire to be. It's people who I can relate to. And I can't relate to someone like Beyonce, I'm not going to lie. But
you did say you couldn't sing earlier on.
Yeah, well, exactly that. But Adele, as weird as it sounds, as big a star as Beyonce in her own right, I can relate to her a bit.
Maybe there you go. She's the first role model we've got on the list.
Because she is someone who's, you know, come from nothing, worked her up. She's one of the big stars, and she's never lost herself. Yeah. I think she always, even in an interview, she'll see, like, she makes you laugh, like, she just seems really grounded. And I think
we've just found a great one, haven't we?
No one can say, oh, Beyonce comes across really grounded. I don't think anyone can say that.
But I do feel like if I was to think about the question, who's the role models, it's my everyday clients.
Yeah.
It's my sisters, it's my best friend.
The people around you.
Yeah. Like, why does a role model have to be somebody famous?
Mary Portas, she's
one of mine.
She's one of mine, actually. She's great. She's really, really
you've
cool.
implemented her system in your business.
Well, exactly.
There you go.
What I loved was at that conference, it was predominantly male speakers, and they were all going, know your finances, know your numbers. And she came on and went, stuff your finances, stuff your numbers, do what feels right. And I was like, I love her. I absolutely love her.
Be kind of people, and if you're not, you'll be found out.
Yeah.
All right. What's your favourite book that you've read? I've asked you that question before, but from a business or personal development perspective.
Do you know what? I'm just trying to think.
Let's go back over to you. Well,
I've got 3.
Go on.
Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Then we've got How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. And then The Breaking Habits. I can never get the title right, by Joe Dispenza.
Oh, Joe Dispenza, Breaking Habits,
Yeah, those 3 books.
I mean, that is a deep book as well.
I studied that book for a whole year, and it was so transformative.
What's the action? What does it make you do? What does it make you take action on that book?
He goes through the whole idea behind the energy field and how thoughts become things and how you can rewire the subconscious brain, all that kind of stuff. It's all the premises that I work with my clients as well. Like, when I think about when I hit depression at the age of 30, what really helped me, what really got me out of it: gratitude list, praying, sports, eating well, all those kind of things. But he goes deeper. Like, we all have the capacity to change ourselves if our thinking is right and if we're guided. And he's heavy on meditation. So that's why I like his work. And it's all about understanding energy and just understanding the energy field, how we can manipulate things and centering ourselves. The meditation has been a great life changer for me, as well as praying. So I love his stuff.
Wonderful. What do you reckon?
So on a personal level, Colleen Hoover, she's one of my favourite authors, and she does, she does 3 books that they're kind of a series, but one's It Ends With Us, It Starts With Us, and I can't remember the other one. But what I love about that is that she comes across from a female's point of view.
It is us.
Yeah. And comes across from a female's point of view. And in the books, she covers domestic abuse, she covers infertility issues and miscarriages, and it's all, but she covers it so eloquently that it's something that you come away and think, you know what, if it happens to me, I'm not alone. And I think from a personal, and one of my friends was going through a very abusive relationship at the time I was reading it, and I actually gave her the book, and it changed her life because it was so, and I don't want to get too heavy into domestic abuse, but one of the things she said is, you know, your boundary line, and you can apply this to all aspects of life, work, whatever. You have a boundary line, so you know, and I'll use the domestic abuse. So you have a boundary line. Oh no, if he ever touches me, I'm gone. You know, then you get the first slap, and you think, oh no, you know, I've never let him do that again. Your line's just moved, and then he punches you. Okay, well, I'm never going to let him do anything more, and gradually your boundary line extends. And I gave her that. I gave my friend that book, and she said it absolutely changed her life because she said her boundary line had completely gone to something that she didn't respect anymore. And she couldn't visualise herself. So I think those books from a personal perspective, and then I love the Marcus Sheridan one.
They Ask You Answer.
Yeah, I love that one. That was just great. I think coming from sales, when I read that.
What's it called?
They Ask You Answer.
Yeah. They Ask You Answer.
Yeah,
it's
a...
How did you read that?
Incredible marketing book. A Hall of Fame classic.
Yeah.
What a guy as well. All right, last question each. Very simple one. We'll almost finish where we started. You know, the first question was definition of success, but the last question is, if the audience should take action on one thing to become more successful from listening to this, what's the one thing? Nazia first.
Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah, you are.
Hashtag fuck the world. Do what makes you happy.
Oh, I love that
Hashtag
one.
F the world. Do what makes you happy. You swore I didn't. And over to you, Sophie.
Money's not everything. Money's not the only measure of success.
I love that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Living life.
Live your life. Enjoy what you do. Be good at it. Be organised. But but money's not everything.
Yeah, and I tell you why I say F the world, because people that can look at me and relate to me, being Asian, being brown, being a female, we're too stuck in the cultural norms and the status quo. It's horrible for a lot of females. I don't take permission from anyone to be who I need to be nowadays. So
I love that. I'm taking notes out of your book.
I'm
honestly.
taking notes out of your book.
Nazia, Sophie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey there, James here with an exciting announcement. The BizX Awards is coming to the ACC Liverpool from the 18th to the 19th of April with an incredible lineup of speakers. You're going to meet the likes of Stephen Mulhern, Donald Miller, Deborah Meaden, and many, many more. Book your spot right now at thebizx.co.uk. And if you've enjoyed listening to the Business Excellence podcast, make sure to comment your top learnings and favourite moments, as well as like and subscribe. See you next time.